Hello, my name is Sydney Gonzalez, and I'm going to be presenting on our first case study in this class, Management 449. The case study is called Whole Foods Market, a luxury grocer in Detroit. Essentially, the problem at hand is co-CEO Walter Robb and Larry Austin, the Detroit store manager of Whole Foods, are wondering if they can and if they should expand Whole Foods market model into low-income and urban areas. Essentially, Austin is going by four considerations to determine his decision. The first is transforming the brand image. Right now, kind of a wry name for Whole Foods is Whole Paycheck, because it's going to take around your whole paycheck to be able to afford anything there. And their big question is, can we genuinely provide means to healthy food to customers of both high and low incomes? So right now I have a comparison of Whole Foods market Michigan community demographics. So a few things that this graph shows is the population, median household income, and the unemployment rate. We can see here Detroit has a population of 900,000 people, median household income of 25,000, and an unemployment rate of 18.8%, which is nearly double of the other unemployment rates in other towns: Ann Arbor, Troy, West Bloomfield, Rochester Hills. The second consideration is addressing food and access to poverty. Obviously, it's going to be a high price over there. This may not be a viable solution to the demand for affordable grocery and supply stores. Little people already have access to the amenities that they need every day. So building more stores where SNAP isn't going to be accepted, SNAP benefits aren't going to be accepted, and the quality of the food is high, but so are the prices, isn't going to help feed those 900,000 people. So the third kind of consideration that we're taking is respecting the business bottom line. The triple bottom line, three Ps. We have people, planet, profits, just a small picture. So even though Whole Foods Market organized job affairs, conducted trainings on both nutrition and budget shopping, and integrated a community center within the store, it's still, like I said, just not a viable solution. Many people saw this as an unnecessary, risky investment taken by Whole Foods, saying that Whole Foods Market is going to be playing the social worker rather than the business, which in this case was pretty true. It said in the case study, after 6 months, they still weren't as financially sound as they wanted to be. They were putting a lot of effort into making them feel like they're part of the community, making the community feel like, it can be part of them, instead of generating profits in maybe a market where they would be more successful. So Whole Foods Market support of local producers through organizing local vendor fairs and providing loans is another way that they help, but in my opinion, we need basic amenities before those types of things. The fourth consideration is pushing out local business and residents. Big con of this is benefits developing. It only benefits developers and drives out citizens from these urban areas that can't keep up with the increase in value. Also, the same tax incentives are not offered to local producers and grocers. This creates a pretty unfair advantage for people maybe even trying to start up that local grocery store or something like that. So Austin was able to capture the essence of PESTEL, the acronym: political, economic, social, technological, environmental, and legal considerations. This is a way for managers to assess their general environment. I think that he was able to cover many of them with his considerations. However, the political category seems ethically unsound to me. There's a direct quote from the case study that says, emails between the Michigan Economic Growth Authority and the Detroit Economic Growth Corporation, noted that the Detroit Whole Foods Market developer sought $4.2 million in city, state, and federal taxes, and they received around $5.8 million. So that's a lot of incentive to open up and get the business going that a lot of local people aren't going to receive, and it as if Whole Foods needed any help kind of pushing small farmers, small business owners out of the way anyway. The text was really specific regarding technological category of the PASTEL acronym. It didn't really seem in this case study that they were going after Moore's Law at all. They even, in the case study, there's even an example, the Subway Now app that allows you to order food prior to arriving, makes things very quick. This is kind of something that's in that technological category, just a consideration, and I saw none of that for Whole Foods in this case study. The legality category of PASTEL is kind of also overlooked within his considerations, and no, they're probably not doing anything wrong or have to kind of take a look at, you know, if they're breaking any laws, because they're not. I'm sure they're just opening up a new business, but maybe they should consider if this is ethically correct, kind of pushing people out so that they can open up a new store here. Moving to Michael Porter, he said that 2 competitive dimensions are keys to business level strategy. There's firm source of competitive advantage, and there is firm scope of operations. So a differentiation strategy involves offering unique features that appeal to a variety of customers. That's what it says within the text. However, it was addressed within the case study that there's not a wide enough variety of people able to shop at Whole Foods regularly, able to afford it, enjoy it, live off it. Just doesn't work. The text states the big risk when using a differentiation strategy is that customers will not be willing to pay extra to obtain the unique features that a firm is trying to build its strategy around. The case study talked about a lot of suburban people enjoying the Whole Foods market. However, a lot of the locals are not. And so they will probably not be willing to pay the extra money for these products. You know, they're already having to drive out of town so that they can use their SNAP benefits in order to just gain basic things that they need in everyday life. Expanding into more low-income areas defies Whole Foods' differentiation generic strategy, because though their emergence may cause a boost in value around the store and those who can shop at Whole Foods, it does nothing for problems facing citizens that depends on the SNAP programs. In my opinion, by pushing people out of their homes, by raising the value of what people can already not afford, by creating an environment that is going to sustain, you know, more high-end grocery stores that people just can't afford, it's going to, you know, up the value of retail of housing, and these types of things are just going to further push locals that already can't afford these amenities out. So if I was Austin, what would your decision be? What key points would you include in your analysis? Me personally, I would probably go off of the PASTEL as well as develop my own considerations like he did. However, if I was him, I would probably recognize that this isn't good for the locals here in Detroit. It's not something that is going to benefit them in the long run. And yes, it supplies jobs, makes jobs. However, like I've been saying over and over, people need just basic things to live by, and stores that are going to accept the benefits that they are able to utilize. If I was Austin, I would say, you know, maybe let's create a subsidiary for Whole Foods Market. Let's go to all those big food companies that throw out food that's not perishable yet just because it doesn't meet quality standards, and let's, you know, maybe sell that at a very, very low price. Maybe buy from local producers the bruised fruit, all the things that are not technically perished yet, but are still good to eat. They just don't look super good for all the stores. Maybe implement those types of things that will help the environment a little more and help people afford those kind of healthy foods. I really enjoy the triple bottom line. I think it's a really great way to assess how a business is doing. I think it's always really good to make sure that any kind of business that you're involved in is sustainable, and the fact that it's accruing profits, it's helping people, and it's helping the planet. So far, it doesn't really seem like from this case study that Whole Foods is adhering to those kind of basic components of what we want to see in a business. That triple bottom line is really important. I think it's really basic, easy. Some kind of research I did by myself. I found this on organicconsumers.org, where they're talking about Whole Foods and how Whole Foods basically made a commitment to label all GMO tainted foods by 2018, and now it looks like they're taking a step back from that, and they're going to accept an industry-crafted DARK Act, which is a compromise. It essentially eliminates mandatory GMO labeling and preempts the Vermont law with convoluted and deceptive federal regime for QR codes. That's what I received from that website. So, based off of the case study, based off of this information I have here, expanding into urban areas and expanding into low-income areas does nothing if you're a luxurious market. People can't afford it, and in the end, it's not going to help anybody. It's not going to gain the business as many profits as it would if the store was in a better market where people can afford it, and it's not going to really help the environment at all. I appreciate your time. Thank you for listening. Have a great night.